to just do a really quick how-to video on how I make coconut flour pancakes. So it's super late, but I just wanted to get started. So I'm making these for tomorrow morning, so I'm making them ahead of time. This is hard to see, but this is just a bag of coconut flakes that I buy in the bulk section, just because it's a little bit more affordable. And then just the coconut milk. I have 1 cup of my coconut flakes in there, and I'm just going to make the coconut flour by placing them in my blender and just blending the poop out of them. And making sure that my blender is super dry because I don't want mush. So I'm just going to do that for a while and show you what it's supposed to look like when you're done. They recommend like a Vitamix or food processor, but this is all I've got, so it works for about probably a minute or 2 minutes. And that was 1 cup of the flakes, and it's about 3/4 of a cup of the powder. And you can see, I don't know if my camera will focus too good on it. I don't think it will. Maybe I'll just change my lighting around so I can show you a little bit better of how thin it is. Probably this isn't showing up very good because my camera is a bit crummy, but it's just pretty much as fine as you can get it. Yeah, it's just really fine, not flaky at all. And that is my coconut flour. So now I'm going to get started with my recipe. And my recipe is going to call for half a cup of coconut flour. So okay, so here is my very first faux pas of this recipe. I don't go by the book generally for like methods and things. So it says beat your eggs, and I'm gonna throw them in the blender. I've got 4 eggs, and I'm just gonna throw them in my blender for a few moments to save my arm from getting so tired. So I just mix them in the blender, and especially when you're making scrambled eggs, it makes them super fluffy. So I'll only do this for about 10 seconds. It says to beat for 3 or 4 minutes, so 10 seconds. So it says to beat them until frothy, and it actually says 2 minutes. I stand corrected. So there we go. My eggs are nice and frothy, and that only took me about 10 seconds. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be combining my milk, and I'm just using a organic coconut milk. So I've got my milk, and then my stevia. I don't even know how to pronounce that, but I'm going to use honey instead of that, and then my vanilla extract. So 1 tablespoon of honey, and I believe it is 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix there's my baking soda. This is super hard to see, and I apologize because it's white on white, but then I've got my half a cup of my coconut flour, and then half a teaspoon of sea salt, and there's another treat. I'm all out of sea salt, so I'm just using normal salt, which is, you know, not as good, but it's what I have. So I'm just going to mix all that together. So this is my dry mixture, and then I have my stevia or honey, vanilla, and coconut milk mixture there. So just really simple, basic. And now I'm going to stir my wet mixture into my dry mixture until it's totally good to go. And I'm also going to, so I'm just going to whisk my wet mixture into my dry mixture and add my eggs in as well. My nice and frothy eggs. So I'm going to mix all of this in until it's incorporated, and that's pretty much it. So it's super easy, I'd say. And obviously so that there's no lumpies. Okay, so this is looking way thinner than a normal pancake consistency, and that's fine. So, like way thinner. Like this is more of a crepe type batter consistency right now. I've got about a tablespoon of coconut oil, which is a little bit much for this size of a frying pan, but it'll do it. I'm just gonna let that heat up real nicely. In the instructions it says to do this first, but it gets way too hot for my preference. and I am just cooking these on medium heat there. So I'm just going to wait for that and then add in about 1/3 of a cup of batter, maybe a little bit less actually. Okay, so it's not quite heated, but it's heated enough. So I'm going to pour my first little bit, and this one's got obviously way too much oil, so it's going to look a lot more like a crepe than a pancake because I fudged on the oil portion. But that's okay. It's a test one. My first pancake never, ever, ever turns out never, ever. Doesn't. So, okay, so the first thing with coconut flour pancakes is they smell so much better than normal pancakes. Seriously. They really do. They're, these ones, this has been like 10 seconds. It's already cooked almost all the way through and ready to flip. And even though this is my first one that is a tester, it's not that bad. So that was like 10 seconds. And it's already cooked on the one side, so they really don't need very long at all. And I'll show you the second one because it's a much better representation because there won't be quite as much oil that it will be swimming in. And no, this one will not be eaten. It's just simply a tester. There's the second half of my first one, and I left it a little bit too long because I kind of forgot about it. So my oil is a little bit burnt, but that's okay. So this is my second one with not quite as much oil, and I did a whole 1/3 of a cup there. Sorry if you hear other noises. I'm just cooking some lunch for Jax tomorrow, and then I'm going to freeze some of these actually. So this could be kind of a freeze with cooking Friday that I haven't done in forever, but I'm going to freeze a couple of these because they're nice to just kind of heat up on the go. So they take like no time. Like I'm just going to let this one cook while, you know, I'm talking and blabbering away, so you get a chance to see how long it takes in real time. And I did reduce this to 3 to 4. It was at like medium number 5 there earlier. So they smell so good. They smell like Aunt Jemima, that buttery syrup on Eggo waffles. That's exactly what it smells like right now, and it smells delicious. So these are my new guilty pleasure that isn't so guilty. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm using oops, that's the French side. It's a coconut oil. Actually, there is only one side. I think it's weird. There's only French side to this one, but there we go. And it's just coconut oil, organic, I don't know, virgin coconut oil. So that's the one we've been using. And this, I don't remember how much it costs, but it has lasted a really long time. You can kind of see how much. And I also use that for making Jax some homemade bum cream. So I'm going to flip this. I'm not the best flipper ever, as you will be able to see in a second. Just so not my forte. But there we go. Excuse me. So this might be a little bit monotonous here, but that looks like it's pretty perfectly done. Maybe a minute overdone, but that's why I reduced the heat. This other one, I'm tasting it, the first one that I made, but it's definitely a little bit oily. So hopefully this next one won't be. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. It's super, super easy. And don't get discouraged when your batter is super, super thin. Sorry, I'm just messing with this one. When your batter is super, super thin, because it's totally fine. Like mine is really thin. If you want to, you can add in like another 1/4 of a cup of coconut flour. I've done that sometimes if I want just a bit more of a thicker consistency. And if you don't want to taste, like I can kind of feel the texture of my coconut flour sometimes, but you just need to grind it into a thinner powder if you don't want to taste it at all. So that is my super easy coconut flour pancakes. So they're so fast and so easy, and Jax absolutely loves them. And I usually eat the first few and then give him the ones that are going to have less oil from the pan. So that's all. I hope you guys enjoyed.